Reborn in South Korea, I originally wanted to fish and lie flat. Unexpectedly, the system arrived late, unlocking the Big Brother profession. In order to be a good Big Brother in the new century, Zhenyu flew further and further on the waves. Keywords of the novel. I work as a Chaebol in South Korea without a pop-up window. I work as a Chaebol in South Korea. Download the complete TXT collection and read the latest chapters of my work as a Chaebol in South Korea. Chapter 1. Although late, arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Although late, arrived. Hey, it's so comfortable. Stretching lazily, Zhenyu sat straight in front of the sunrise outside the window. This is his third day of unemployment because he is unwilling to accept capital exploitation and works hard for his boss Martha. He was once again honored and dismissed by the dock company. This is the 6th time in 2 months. As long as you lie flat, the boss won't want to change cars every year. Feeling the 30,000 Korean won in his pocket, Zhenyu nodded satisfied and said, it can last for a week. Suddenly, a carp stood up and Zhenyu jumped out of bed and walked towards the kitchen in the corner. A single room of 20 square meters is his resting place in Seoul. Hey, why bother working hard all your life? Shaking his head to console himself, Zhenyu joked and added water to the small pot. Take out 1 bag, 2 bags and 3 bags of ramen noodles from the cabinet below. Boil water, quickly boil the water and add a tomato. A little salt, wait for the tomatoes to soften before adding the dough. Stirring, let the tomato soup blend into the pancake and boil for 1.5 minutes. Knock an egg, put it directly into the pot, use chopsticks to poke it and quickly stir it into small pieces. A perfect pot of homemade instant noodles has been prepared with the ingredients. Snoring with a satisfied sigh, Zhenyu exclaimed, fragrant. Didi, charging completed, self-cultivation system activated, start testing. Detected that the host is currently an unemployed wanderer. Positioning completed. System generation in progress. Big Brother's self-cultivation system, loaded. This system aims to cultivate and make the host a law-abiding and highly respected Big Brother in society. What kind of thing? Zhenyu held the chopsticks of instant noodles, stiff in mid-air, with a big mouth. System. I knew there must be some flaws in traveling, but it's just a matter of time. No, I'm hanging my own. The career positioning has been completed, and now rewards and first-time tasks will be issued. As the Big Brother of the new era, regardless of body shape, temperament, and dressing style, we must conform to our image positioning. We are now distributing professional sets. Watches, large flower arms, and gold sets. Zhenyu was surprised and said, Grass, don't worry, it's not easy to enter the factory with big flower arms. No, they all have systems. What factory are they entering? But Big Flower Arm, he really doesn't have this hobby. Unfortunately, the system clearly does not have the habit of following his instructions to do things. 5 brand new items suddenly appeared on the low-footed square table in front of me. A large gold chain with a small finger radius, a pair of pure gold rings, and a 2-finger wide gold bracelet with full weight. Just these 3 things alone, at least there must be over 100 grams. At the current gold price, isn't it worth 50 or 60,000 yuan? Zhenyu's first reaction was to sell these things. Then, she turned her gaze to the large golden watch. Gold dial, gold strap, and gold embellishments. Soil, from inner to outer flow to explosion. It cannot conceal its rightful value as a Rolex. Zhenyu took out his phone and quickly found the value of this Rolex online. Oyster-style Hyundong weekly calendar 40 watch in 18K gold, priced at 53 million yuan. Sent it. Sell it when you go out later. Warning, professional sets are unique rewards that will never be abandoned or worn out, and cannot be lost subjectively. If such a situation is found, the system will automatically uninstall and, in accordance with Article 11019 of the Safety Regulations, destroy the existing carrier consciousness and leave on its own. What? It can't be sold. Lee Zhenyu's interest disappeared in an instant. But then, he regained his composure and said that if he couldn't sell, he couldn't sell. It's good to take it out and install X. However, this cannot be fake, can it? With the ability of the system, I should not deceive myself with counterfeit goods. Lee Zhenyu no longer hesitated and placed the large gold watch next to the 3 gold coins, picking up the last reward. A pair of sleeves with a scarf, like a baby's eating scarf. It's just full of tattoos on it, it looks a bit scary. First, put on your neck and then put on your sleeves. Lee Zhenyu found that it seemed to blend with the skin and rubbed it vigorously with his hands, but there was no response. Stickers. Realizing that he didn't need to be pricked, Lee Zhenyu became interested and walked up to the mirror to see his current image. The eagle with its wings spread out, with its head around its neck and bright yellow eyes emitting a fierce coldness, as if it was about to come alive and devour people in the next second. Shoulders connected to arms are wings that spread out. Turning around and looking from behind, the feathers on the wings are incredibly clear and lifelike. Going out without an ID card is not enough in the future. Lee Zhenyu shook his head in silence and set aside the things on the table to eat noodles. As a big brother, how can you eat instant noodles at home? New task. Eat a dinner that matches the identity of the big brother. Lee Zhenyu's expression froze as he suddenly threw his fork into the instant noodles. Damn it, can't even have a good meal. Looking at the constantly flashing, new task, prompts in front of him, Lee Zhenyu helplessly picked up his bowl. His eyes were filled with regret as he poured the freshly cooked instant noodles into the garbage bag before he could even take a bite. In the future, he may have to say goodbye to ramen noodles. Then, I took a coat and was about to go out. Reminder. Please wear a professional suit, otherwise you will be punished. So many things, I'm just 999999. Standing in place, Lee Zhenyu suddenly twitched, his right hand raised above his head, his left hand hooked back, and he danced in place. 3 seconds later, the whole person suddenly collapsed to the ground. Numb, my whole body is numb. The strong convulsions emptied his body, as if there was an extra hole in his body, sucking in all his strength and thoughts. Even breathing becomes elusive, as if one will swallow in the next second. After more than 10 minutes, Lee Zhenyu suddenly took a deep breath and stood up straight from the ground. Breath, breath. He felt like he had just died once, but just came back to life at the last moment. Lee Zhenyu never wanted to experience this terrible sense of fear and emptiness again. Take the big gold watch and hang the gold chain around your neck. Subsequently, he intended to carry 1 ring on each hand with 2 fingers. After trying it out, I found that it's more convenient to bring 1 hand up. So, it was placed on the index and ring fingers of the left hand. On the 4 square faces of the finger, there is a character engraved on each side. The index finger is and. The ring finger means flat. Connected together, it happens to be peace. Not bad, I love peace as a person. Han Weiman turned his finger and stood in front of the second hand mini pocket, found in the second hand market. Bend your legs to adapt to your new shape. Overall, the impact is not significant. Apart from being a bit fierce and scary, it didn't affect the handsome and tough face in the mirror. Lee Zhenyu rubbed his chin and stood up straight with satisfaction. I grabbed the collar of my coat and pulled it down, pulling the clothes straight. Lee Zhenyu picked up the garbage and opened the door to go downstairs. Throw the garbage into the kitchen, thinking about where to eat. What is the standard for abundance? We can't let him indulge in abalone sea cucumber, even if his body can handle it, his wallet can't handle it. But when he thought of the unknown reward, Lee Zhenyu couldn't ignore it. It seems that we need to use the card at home this time. Taking out a co-branded card from the deepest compartment of the wallet, Lee Zhenyu's expression was filled with helplessness. Young stubbornness is ultimately defeated by the cold reality. It's too tragic. The only obstacle is resolved here, there is nothing to hesitate about. Please take me to the nearest Hanyo store. Stopping a taxi, Lee Zhenyu headed straight to the wealthy restaurant. Eating Korean cattle in South Korea is one of the symbols of success. A meal of Hanyo, it should be in line with Big Brother's identity now. P.S. The new book sets sail, please pay more attention to it, bosses. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. You and I. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. You and I. Warm-colored lighting, comfortable and soft sunken seats, and professional and polite service personnel. Lee Zhenyu's street vendor suit was not subjected to any ridicule. After being taken away by the service staff, it was neatly hung on the wall. The exposed eagle head and the ferocious feathers at the wrist did not attract attention. The service girl's gaze was calm like a robot. Lee Zhenyu didn't realize that the reason why the little sister's eyes were so calm was completely scared. I ordered 2 servings of Korean beef and also ordered a side dish. The little sister left the private room numbly and stood at the door for a long time before suddenly patting her chest. It's so scary, so scary. 5 minutes later, all dishes are served on the table. Lee Zhenyu was about to start eating when the delivery girl's voice sounded like a mosquito chirping as she said, "Sir, excuse me. Would you like to share a table?" What? Lee Zhenyu didn't hear it clearly. The sound is even quieter than a mosquito, who can hear it? Nothing. The delivery girl quickly bowed and apologized, as if she was about to cry. Lee Zhenyu looked innocent and said, "I didn't hear what you said earlier." Little sister stumbled and repeated what she had just said. Seeing his frowning expression, the little sister bowed and apologized again, "I'm sorry, guest." Because the table was very tight today, the guest expressed that they were very anxious. "If you mind, we will reject her." "It's okay, let's get together." Lee Zhenyu smiled and nodded, agreeing to the other party's request. Joining a table is not a big deal. Eating alone can be quite boring. I didn't expect him to be so talkative. The little sister cried with joy and covered her mouth with her hand, only focusing on, "Thank you." It seems like it has much to do with her, leaving Lee Zhenyu confused. "Annyeonghaseyo, I'm Lee Zhubin, sorry to bother you." A petite face and a hot figure. The bare ankles looked like a slender girl who could easily break, nodding and bowing across from him. "Hey, it's another day of envy for the Chaebol." Lee Zhubin's mood at this moment was like a roller coaster ride. Due to training, she hasn't had a proper meal for a long time. I finally managed to sneak out to reward myself, but was told that I didn't have a spot. Fortunately, the store manager told her that she could help inquire if she would accept table sharing. I thought I was lucky once. But I didn't expect such a person. Axie, if she knew it was her eldest brother, she would rather go back to the dormitory to eat ramen noodles. "Hello, Lee Zhenyu." He nodded kindly and placed Hanyo on the baking tray. "If you don't mind, let's eat together first." Lee Zhubin's expression froze for a moment, then quickly waved his hand and said, "No need, the shop will be ready soon. Just give me a small piece of space." I didn't expect my older brother to be quite generous. He probably has some ulterior motives towards himself, right? Lee Zhubin regretted his recklessness even more. Even if you want to treat yourself to a good meal, you should find a more suitable time. "Okay, then this half is yours." The expected entanglement did not occur, and Lee Zhenyu moved away from the position of the baking tray near her and started eating it happily. His movements are not very fast. He always grills the meat until it is fully cooked, uses sauce, and wraps it with lettuce to be imported. Seeing the top-tier tenderloin sizzling on the baking tray, emitting oil splashes. While Li Zhubin felt heartbroken, he became even more hungry. That beef should be paired with rice to taste better, and flipping the noodles should be faster. Only in this way can the heat be evenly distributed and the aroma of the beef be fully stimulated, Li Zhubin said, and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Gudong. This gudong sound is very obvious in the private room where the oil splashes are sizzling. Li Zhenyu instinctively raised his head and looked at her across from him. And Li Zhubin also lowered his head in an instant, eager to find a ground fisher cricket pupa to enter. What a shame. I think that would be too troublesome. If you're willing, you can grill and eat together. Glancing at the man across from him, he lowered his head and looked at the top Korean beef tenderloin, which was sizzling and emitting oil splashes, gradually tightening under the high temperature. Li Zhubin decided to surrender to desire. She really wanted to eat this. Compared to the beef breast she ordered, grilled tenderloin is the soul. Okay, I'll try my best to. The eagle eyes that appeared in his sight made Li Zhubin retract his raised tail. I'll help you. I swallowed my cigarette and saliva. This time, I wasn't greedy, I was scared by myself. Zhu, how dare you joke with such a person? Aren't you afraid of being sold to a human body factory? Thinking of the scenes in the movie, Li Zhubin's greedy insect suddenly became less hungry. Under Li Zhenyu's expectant gaze at Han Nyo, Li Zhubin could only continue the operation in his hand with tears in his eyes. Next time, don't fight with strangers even if you kill her. Alright, give it a try. Putting the most serious and perfect piece of pork tenderloin roasted in life into his bowl, Li Zhubin looked at him eagerly awaiting evaluation. After trying, Li Zhenyu really didn't feel any happiness from eating. However, thinking of the other person's serious attitude, he nodded and gave a positive evaluation. It's very delicious. Li Zhubin, who received praise, became more positive. One piece after another, help him grill the meat well. Match different dishes and roll them into spring rolls shape and send them to his plate. In the end, simply reach out and stuff it into his mouth. At the same time, I didn't forget to reward myself. You won, me won, and I. The small hand delivered to his mouth froze in mid-air, under the enthusiastic gaze of Li Zhenyu. Here you are, said Han Nyo, who had been wrapped up and his fair and slender fingers placed on his lips. Li Zhenyu couldn't distinguish whether this woman was cunning or heartless for a moment. However, he doesn't have much interest in delving deeper into it. Women are always good, and being single is the most carefree. Talking about love is not in line with his elder brother's character. If we had a friendly match, it would have been neat and tidy. After dinner, find a nightclub and see if there are any girls who are easy to deceive. Li Zhenyu pondered in his heart, and people followed suit. When I woke up again, the tenderloin on the table had turned into beef breast, along with 2 portions of rice and accompanying beef. It's a gift from the store, but I'm sorry I need to share a table. I'll help you. Li Zhubin consciously smashed the sterile egg into the beef and quickly stirred it evenly with chopsticks. Then, tasting the sauce on the chopsticks, he smiled happily and said, "All right, the taste is just right." Placing rice and accompanying beef side by side in front of him, Li Zhubin transformed into a friendly servant girl, smiling brightly as he flipped over the beef breast. "I'll do it here, please use it first." Li Zhenyu nodded casually and asked, "What about my large inner and outer spine?" Li Zhubin, who pretended to be calm and busy, trembled and even his expression became depressed. Those inner and outer ridges, of course, all fell into her stomach. It's all because Han Nyo's taste is so delicious that it makes her forget everything. Hey, big brother won't sell himself just because of this. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Ping-A means critical strike, long live peace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Ping-A means critical strike, long live peace. Since Li Zhenyu has decided to surrender to reality, he will no longer mistreat himself. Li Zhenyu ordered another 3 servings of tenderloin, which cost 30,000 yuan. The main weight is too small, and 3 portions only look like 1 pound. This time, Li Zhubin was content to be a competent waiter and focused on grilling Korean beef for him. Eating people with short mouths, who makes her crave. However, this fierce-looking Obama seems to be a good person. After eating 80% full, Li Zhenyu called for someone to come and pay the bill. A meal of Han cattle, eating 170000. Seeing the reward displayed in the system, Li Zhenyu felt that this meal was too valuable. Ping a critical strike card. Apply outward force to double and trigger 100% critical strike damage. P.S. Ping A is a critical strike, and what is said is the truth. Long live peace. Pay card. Can be used for catering expenses, with a limit of 200,000 yuan. Li Zhubin gave his own share, 37,000 yuan. Obama, thank you for treating me to such expensive Korean beef. Li Zhubin happily followed behind him, without the previous fear. Seeing the convenience store across from him, Li Zhubin suddenly said, I'll treat you to coffee, wait a moment. No need. Li Zhenyu watched as she ran across the street and rushed into the convenience store, feeling somewhat helpless and staying in place. I want nobody but you. The next second, the phone ringtone arrived as promised. Mo she. Zhenyu, is that Zhenyu? It's me, Mom. Ah, you scared me to death. What kind of little devil do you learn to talk to when you have nothing to do? If your father finds out, he will. Listening to his mother's nagging, Li Zhenyu, ah no, it's Li Zhenyu wandering in the sky, his pupils are all empty. The home that seemed like a movie in his memory was too unfamiliar to him. The so-called family members have long been separated from each other after becoming sensible. On the other hand, his mother has never been less concerned about him. Unfortunately, she herself is under someone else's protection, and even herself has to be careful to please others to live. Zhenyu, are you listening? I heard you, is there anything else? Zhenyu, come home sometime and bow down and admit your mistake to your father. He will forgive you. Got it, I really have something to do. I'll hang up for now. Wait a minute, that card needs to be used again, okay. I will ask director and to transfer another amount of money in, don't worry about the money. Got it, Mom, there's really something going on. Hang up. Hanging up his phone, Li Zhenyu strode towards the opposite side of the road. The task markers flashing in his mind filled him with confidence and courage. When it's time to take action, take action. As an elder brother, how can you sit idly by when you see someone wielding power over the weak? P.S. Teach the opponent a lesson, and the completion rate of the task is calculated based on the degree of the lesson. Running into the convenience store, Li Zhubin eagerly bought good coffee and was about to take it back to give him a taste. 2 young people with strange colored hairstyles came in outside the door, blocking her way. Wow, it's really beautiful. Where are you practicing? Big brother, look at her. She's wearing so little, so she must be doing a part-time job at night. Is that right? The little pussy with earrings on her face tilted his head and looked at her chest with a strange smile. Wow. You're really dressed very cool. Little sister, isn't it very cold? Let me warm you up. Li Zhubin placed his hands on his chest, dodging and trying to escape. But the 2 of them opened their hands and blocked her way with their bodies. The cashier at the convenience store lowered his head in fear and turned a blind eye to her request for help. Could you please step aside? I will call the police. Li Zhubin tried to intimidate and scare off the other party. But such a threat actually makes them even more excited. Wow, what's wrong with the little girl now? She's always going to report to the police. My brother loves police the most. The threat was ineffective, and Li Zhubin was extremely scared in his heart. What exactly are they going to do? Lingling, hey, what are you 2 doing? The doorbell rang, and a calm magnetic voice reached her ears, making her feel inexplicably at ease. Looking at it with a probe, it's a table mate named Obama. It's great, we need to be saved. Looking back with a twisted head, the two of them saw the tattoo on his neck for the first time. As both arms shook and trembled, the tattoo on the wrist was also exposed to the air. Previously, he looked like a ghostly little rascal and immediately regained his energy. Where are you from? This is our territory. Ping a critical hit card, use. To confirm. While using the card, Zhenyu happened to walk up to the other party. Then, I saw a palm the size of a cattail fan coming towards me. Pop with a crisp sound, the thug's eyes became dazed, and his body tilted in the direction of the force. Dong! Zhenyu fell heavily to the ground, frowning and shaking his hand, shouting, "Hey Chaebol! Damn it, why are the bones so hard? My hands are hurting, Axiba." With a raised eyebrow and a forward gaze, the other person's companion dodged backwards like an electric shock. You. Don't come over here. Killing is illegal and will go to jail. Like a seizure, he twitched and shook his hand, kneeling in front of him with a thud. "Big brother, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, woo-woo." He slammed his head hard on the floor, causing the thug to shudder as a puddle of turbid liquid flowed down. Chaebol. Zhenyu took a few steps back in disgust, and Li Zhubin, who was scared by this sudden change, also regained consciousness. Oh, Obama, he. Pointing at the little pussy lying on the ground, Li Zhubin was so scared that his tongue couldn't straighten. "It's okay, I just fainted, at most I have a slight concussion." "Hey, what's wrong with him?" Zhenyu looked at the thug on the ground again, thin as a bamboo pole. The bamboo pole swayed and pointed at itself with a face full of snot and tears, asking, "Yes, are you asking me? Is there anyone else here, or do you want to be like him?" The bamboo pole shook its head like a tambourine, and rusty brain cells burned wildly. At this moment, the foolish brain played an unprecedented role. Collision, he hit the table himself and then fainted. Zhenyu's fierce expression returned to calmness. "Be careful when you walk next time. Take a look and see what the store looks like." "Really?" Dragged by his collar, his legs trembled as he squatted up, and the bamboo pole nodded earnestly in agreement. "Yes, it's all our fault. It must be because we drank too much last night and didn't sober up. I'm sorry, boss." The bamboo pole bowed 90 degrees to the cashier, who quickly waved his hand and stepped back, looking worried. He doesn't want to have any relationship with these people. "No, it's okay, I'll clean it up. Take this trash with you and get out of here quickly." "Yes, big brother, thank you big brother." The bamboo pole bowed desperately, its head almost pounding to the ground. His hands were straightened and pressed against the midline of his pants, probably more standard than his movements during service. After confirming that Zhenyu would no longer pursue the matter, he hurriedly stood up and dragged the boss away from the convenience store. "Are you okay?" He approached Li Zhubin, his face slightly open with astonishment. Upon hearing his inquiry, the whole person trembled and blushed with embarrassment. "What? You blush like a bubble teapot." Zhenyu was speechless and took a cup of coffee from the other person's hand, lifting it up and saying, "Thank you for your coffee." Then, without any attachment, he turned around and left. As he said, "Love is too troublesome, he only loves horseback riding, what's wrong with it?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Ordinary Women. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Ordinary Women. Obama, wait for me. Catching up with him ahead, Li Zhubin's eyes were full of curiosity. "Obama, those people, won't they be in trouble?" "What trouble? It won't affect you," Zhenyu said casually. "No, I mean whether or not to report to the police, I can be a witness." Li Zhenyu hesitated for a moment and pointed at himself, asking, "Do you think the police will believe what I say when they come?" Li Zhubin lowered his head with a guilty heart and murmured, "But Obama is a good person. If you have nothing to do, go back. This place is not safe for a little girl like you." Li Zhenyu took a sip of coffee and continued walking forward. The reward has been settled and he is waiting to collect the rent. Two high-end luxury houses located in EP1 have become the legal property of Li Zhenyu. 8 years ago, investing with the saved New Year's money and pocket money doubled the capital in the stock market. Subsequently, a 5-story mansion with 2 underground floors and 3 above-ground floors was purchased for a price of 1 billion yuan. Another investment of 570 million yuan will be made to purchase a single residential unit with a total area of 603 square meters, consisting of 2 underground floors. These 2 houses were vacant in the past few years, but their housing prices have been rising year after year. Last year, Li Zhenyu just rented them out, and the rental card was placed at the bottom of his card bag. Inside is last year's rent, and all the procedures and financial flow are traceable. No matter who it is, no flaws can be found. Li Zhenyu even remembered where he hid all the procedures after purchasing a house 8 years ago. The scene of meeting with the original homeowner to sign a contract is also vivid in my memory. It's simply outrageous. Li Zhenyu has a correct understanding of the power of the system. Oba, he's not that small anymore. Li Zhubin relentlessly entwined with him, raising his head and trying to prove something. Li Zhenyu must admit that he underestimated her a bit before. Quite a bit, there is C. When do you plan to follow until? Li Zhenyu had to stop as she kept following him. Further ahead is EP1, not far from his house. Li Zhubin looked happy and said, "Oba, are you going to EP1 for shopping? Can I accompany you?" Bouncing around his arm, Li Zhubin leaned his head against his arm and said, "With such a beautiful girl accompanying you shopping, others will envy you when they see her." No wrong. Li Zhenyu's refusal was suppressed by the sudden task released by the system. It's not that he lacks backbone, it's just that the system has given him too much. Teach 2 punks a lesson, and you can get 2 luxury houses of EP1. At present, the total value is around 8 billion. In the blink of an eye, we are only 2 billion away from the billionaires. This is just a reward from the system, a newly inspired task. Before the flowers bloom, under the moon, beauty accompanies. As a big brother, how can one be without the accompaniment of flowers and beautiful colors to showcase his temperament? Rewards depend on the amount and degree of others' jealousy, and are calculated comprehensively. He likes such a user-friendly system. Let's go then. Li Zhubin smiled happily, looking forward to the upcoming journey in his heart. But the 2 luxurious mansion doors, nearly 3 meters high and half open, disrupted all her plans. Hello. Hello, I'm Li Zhenyu. Ah, please wait a moment, I'll come out now. The anxious voice of the woman, accompanied by a slight gasp, made Li Zhubin's expression also strange. It sounds like the other party is engaged in some kind of intense privacy movement. So, why is Obama here? In Li Zhubin's mind, countless question marks appeared, and some stories unfolded in strange ways. Until the small door opened, a woman wearing a cool hat and mask walked out. "Here is the check, I thought you wouldn't come today." Seeing Li Zhubin beside him, the other person's eyes lit up and then dimmed, finally giving off a hint of envy. And Li Zhubin also cast a sense of familiarity between his eyebrows, vaguely guessing the other person's identity. "This is the receipt, please keep it." Li Zhenyu signed on the receipt presented by the other party. I once again admire the meticulousness of the system in my heart. Even the receipt has been prepared by the tool man. I don't know what the reason is this time. As if sensing a question in Li Zhubin's eyes, the other person suddenly spoke up and said, "You're a newcomer to SM. Do you recognize who I am?" Li Zhubin hesitated for a few seconds before bowing and greeting, "Hello senior." With a slight nod, Huang Jingyin envied and said, "You are luckier than me. Cherish this good luck and don't let yourself regret it." Li Zhubin listened inexplicably, but the other party didn't say much. After greeting Li Zhenyu, he returned to the door. Noticing her parting gaze, Li Zhubin turned his gaze to Li Zhenyu, with a hint of enlightenment on his face. "Let's go." Li Zhenyu turned around and left. "Oba, was that Senior Huang Jingyin just now? Was that right, wasn't it?" Li Zhubin pestered him, wanting to determine whether his guess was right or wrong. "Bibi." The sound of a whistle came from behind, and Li Zhenyu turned around to see a modern yakoshi. "The road next to it is still very wide, what horn should I honk?" The next second, the rear window fell down, and the familiar face with sunglasses made him take back the impatience in his eyes. "Sister Fusion," Li Zhenyu's tone was filled with helplessness. "I didn't expect to meet her here, it's really a headache." Li Fusion took off her sunglasses and smiled, saying, "Zhenyu, long time no see." Looking at the woman chatting and laughing with Obama, Li Zhubin's mouth was so shocked that it could fit a duck egg. What did she see? Princess Li Fusion of Sanshin? Hurry up and someone tell me, this is not true. That's the Li family of Sanshin, it's Aigu from the Li family of Sanshin, do you want me to give you a ride? Turning his head to look at Li Zhubin behind him, Li Fusion chuckled lightly and said, "Is your new girlfriend?" "No, the little sister I just met." Li Fusion nodded without further questioning, but instead looked at the tattoo on his neck and said, "What's going on? Are you really not planning to go home? Does that family welcome me?" Li Zhenyu's expression remained calm, as if talking about strangers. In fact, the so-called contradiction is simply that the bare child wants to pursue their dreams, is unwilling to take on the responsibility of inheriting the so-called aristocratic family, and believes that they are not understood and respected. The bloody drama of resolutely abandoning one's identity and pursuing freedom. If it weren't for him, Li Zhenyu, who would have been smoothed out by reality in a few years, might have chosen to return home and inherit the throne. Unfortunately, he is no longer the same as before. But now he obviously hasn't had the courage and preparation to face his family. That's a gatekeeper, if you're caught being a top tier. The throne. Even the qualification to lie flat and make salted fish does not exist. Seeing him stubbornly stubborn, Li Fusion felt a bit regretful in her heart, but then a strong wave of envy and jealousy rose up. Blocking everything up oneself will only result in an opportunity to get closer to it. And the other party casually discarded their innate crown. How life is so unfair. Do you really not need me to give you a ride? Li Fusion suppressed the surging emotions in her heart, maintaining an elegant and polite smile. If possible, she really wants to spill coffee on that handsome face. Damn it, you're going crazy. Li Zhenyu shook his head and said, "I have something else to do nearby. Let's go first and have coffee together when we have time." Okay. After a polite gesture, Li Zhenyu watched the other party's car leave. Oba, was it Li Fusion just now, Princess Sanshin Li Fusion? Seeing her surprised to the point of almost going crazy, Li Zhenyu nodded calmly. Her performance is not surprising at all. Any South Korean person who sees her with their own eyes will be like Li Zhubin, or even more crazy. Dafa, I forgot to take photos, why did I forget? Li Zhubin patted his head in frustration, feeling dejected and blaming himself. In private, she is just an ordinary woman like you. Li Zhenyu spoke calmly, saying that Princess Sanshin was just an ordinary woman's lesson. Listening to Li Zhubin, it was like a king reciting scriptures, not remembering a single word. New book set sale, urgently needed boss to feed. The tentative update time is from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let's wave together, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Single ponytail, double ponytail, I choose Marunouchi Head. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Single ponytail, double ponytail, I choose Marunouchi Head. On the modern car, Li Fusion was still thinking about the meeting just now. The Li family in Chuanzhou is a behemoth that even the father must give in 3 parts. Years of accumulated connections, children all over the country, and no one knows the specific amount of wealth. It can be said to be an excellent assistance, but unfortunately, he chose the wrong path. However, compared to his childhood runny nose, he now looks more masculine. The body is not robust, but it is very stylish. Nowadays, men are becoming more and more inclined towards femininity, which makes them nauseating to think about. Still a man like him, looking comfortable. I've really grown up. Li Fujian smiled gently, showing a hint of curiosity towards him. What has happened in recent years, turning that timid and introverted little slug into this? After collecting the second rent, Li Zhenyu's not wealthy wallet became stronger. How could the senior live here? She hasn't started construction for a long time. Li Zhubin is still struggling. Where did the senior come from to pay the rent? The billionaires here often come to her for stretching exercises. Stretching, yoga. Li Zhenyu nodded. Of course it's yoga, but the process is a bit special. Li Zhenyu does not evaluate the profession of tenants. Make money based on your abilities, clearly mark prices, and do whatever you want. Don't be too conscientious, right? It's much better than talking about business under the guise of love. Don't you need to go back to the company? Li Zhenyu was curious, wondering what she was doing with her. I finally came out and of course I wanted to have a great time. Encountering such an interesting and mysterious Obama, Li Zhubin felt like he was participating in a TV drama. Full of anticipation for the upcoming plot, how could one be willing to leave now? Besides, she hasn't had enough fun yet. In the daytime, Itaewon is a paradise for young lovers and white-collar workers. Here, various brands, catering cuisine, and handsome men and women gather, making people feel like they are in a dreamy world. When Li Zhubin, holding Li Zhenyu's arm and smiling happily, appeared, she added a touch of charm to this dream. Oba, what kind of job do you do? Unemployed vagrants can only make a living by collecting rent. Li Zhubin was speechless. Barely making ends meet with a quarterly income of 30 million. What are we, beggars? Oba, a new tavern is opening here. Let's go try it. Li Zhenyu looked at her with a raised corner of his mouth, confirming that he was not mistaken, and walked towards the brewery in cooperation. Since someone has taken the initiative to deliver the door, what reason does he have to refuse? South Koreans love to drink alcohol, and the top priority is always soju, with green glass bottles and genuine liquor brands, almost monopolizing the entire soju market. Next is rice wine, which has a sweet taste that is loved by women and the elderly. Finally, there are various foreign liquors and beers. The tavern mentioned by Li Zhubin is a newly opened sweat-style rice wine house on the street. The front door is decorated in a standard sweat style, while the seats remain in a sunken style. In recent years, this type of decoration style has been very popular among the public. A pot of rice wine, seafood pancakes, and a few small dishes, that's all, Kong sang mi da. The meal will be served soon, with rice wine in an aluminum pot, accompanied by seafood cakes and a few exquisite side dishes. Cheers. Li Zhubin picked up the turbid liquid poured into the iron bowl and leaned forward to toast him. Gudong. Li Zhubin's happy eyes narrowed as he finished the sweet rice wine at the bottom of the bowl in one breath. Pick up a seafood cake and happily take a small bite to eat. Li Zhenyu picked up small dishes with chopsticks and didn't touch the seafood cake. Oba, let me give you a try, it's delicious. Li Zhubin propped up the table with one hand and brought the seafood cake he had bitten halfway to his mouth. Li Zhenyu hesitated for a moment and took a big bite. Li Zhubin looked at him eagerly and asked, so, is it really delicious? Is it? Li Zhenyu nodded and gave a as an affirmative answer. Li Zhubin handed the seafood cake over again and fed it to him one by one. The feeling of being served is much stronger than the pleasure brought by the taste of food. Gudong, a pot of rice wine quickly bottoms out, with a gentle and sweet taste like a beverage. The more people drink, the more they want to drink, and they don't even remember that it has a certain degree. Head by head, Li Zhubin stood up unsteadily. Holding the table, Li Zhubin leaned against him and said, "Obama, has anyone ever said that you look good and handsome? Like a real man, good. So secure. Me. I seem to like you a bit." Li Zhubin looked at him with a hazy expression and grinned foolishly. Li Zhenyu supported her falling head and calmly said, "You're drunk." "I'm not drunk, I still want to drink. Where's the wine? Where's my wine?" Li Zhubin grabbed the iron pot and shook it vigorously. "Hey there's nothing left. Hey, here, another pot." Li Zhubin held the empty iron pot and waved it while shouting, "Don't drink, you're already drunk." Li Zhenyu pressed his hand holding the aluminum pot and said to the waiter who came in, "Pay the bill, thank you." The two of them spent 12,000 yuan, and after Li Zhenyu paid the bill, he helped her walk out. "Obama, take me home." Li Zhubin leaned against his chest and murmured coquettishly like a kitten. The atmosphere has reached this point, and it's hard to justify not taking it away. Pa, driver, Nandiman Market, Kong Sangmi. Holding on to Li Zhubin, who had already passed away drunk, he got into the car. Under the driver's teasing smile, the two of them smoothly returned to his rental house. I got off the car and saw that she was limp and had no strength. Li Zhenyu simply bent down to pick her up and strode towards home. Bang! The door closed and the air inside immediately heated up. The body held in my arms also experienced a sharp increase in temperature. "Can't get up yet, when will it be installed?" Li Zhenyu stood in place, smiling mischievously as he looked at the beautiful woman whose hair was covering half of her face. Women are never emotional animals. The cost of reason alone is far higher than that of any known living organism. Once someone can pay this price, women will become the gentlest and most understanding in the world, able to instantly guess all the other person's thoughts. And the best performer willing to perform for this, with accuracy comparable to teleportation obviously, Li Zhenyu in this lifetime is only 1%. Li Zhubin's flickering eyebrows timidly opened and quickly closed like a startled deer. "Obama, do you prefer a single ponytail or a double ponytail? How's Marabito?" Li Zhenyu's mouth curved with a hint of evil charm. "Driving this reins is so slippery that I almost can't catch it." The next day, when he opened his eyes, there was no other figure in the room. Picking up the note by the bedside, a smile appeared on Li Zhenyu's face. "Oba, I'm back at work. This is the dormitory phone number. Remember to call me, love you. Just your Pearl." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Kind Neighbor Wife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Kind Neighbor Wife. Throwing the note into the trash can, Li Zhenyu stood up and took a shower. Looking in the mirror, I realized that I had forgotten to take off my tattoo. Rubbing with my hands underwater, I found nothing wrong. He was too lazy to bother anymore, so he just washed it up like this. Habit is a terrible thing, and once it is formed, it doesn't seem as important to have a tattoo. By the way, there are also rewards. The settlement is completed and rewards will be distributed. This comprehensive score is a level, and a total of 3 rewards were obtained. Reward 1. Ping a critical hit card. Reward 2. Information investigation card. Reward 3. Magical whitening essential oil. The first 2 rewards were considered normal, but the explanation of the last essential oil filled Li Zhenyu's heart with strangeness. P.S. It has a magical whitening effect and can stimulate a large amount of hormone secretion when used against the opposite sex. Li Zhenyu felt particularly relaxed today after unblocking the pipeline last night. If your wallet is bulging, naturally you cannot mistreat yourself. Li Zhenyu changed into a hoodie and loose sports pants, wearing a Putian-style A.cone made in Xia country. Put on your wallet, pick up your watch and confidently close the door and walk outside. Go have breakfast first and treat yourself. And then what should I do? Struggling for the boss is definitely not right, but it's important to replace the target with oneself. Would it be too rare to switch to a Ferrari every year? I want nobody but you. The bell rang, and Li Zhenyu flipped over his phone and looked down, taking back the steps he had taken forward. Press the call button and place the phone in your ear. On both sides, there was only a soft, mosquito-like breathing between the breaths, making the silence even heavier. Are you willing to come back? Don't you want to? I haven't had enough lessons yet. I thought you had the courage to persevere until the end and never use the money in that card. Is that why you called? Li Zhenyu's smile was full of sarcasm. The boss's arrogance collapsed in his heart. Calling to mock a younger generation over this matter is really outrageous. Is this the big shot? Even more childish than the slug in my neighbor's house. Your persistence is worthless in reality. Don't think it's so noble, don't be childish anymore. Is it you who is childish? If it's to mock me, you have already done it. Please don't call again if you have nothing to do. I have nothing to say with you. Li Zhenyu sneered and pursed his lips, his previous good mood becoming somewhat irritable. The footsteps of moving forward stopped again, and Li Zhenyu murmured in confusion, am I too invested? Those things all happened to the predecessor, what is their relationship to them? He has no reason to be so angry about this. Why do you affect your good mood for an unrelated person? Chuanzhou, the ancestral home of the Li family. Li Qiu, with gray temples, silently put down the phone and said, report it. The results of the investigation that was previously entrusted to the Li family in Khanate have already been released. The young master has never been to any tattoo places, nor does he know any friends in this area, and has never had contact with any underworld figures. Of course, it is not ruled out that there may be some street thugs. The confidential secretary's judgment is that there is a 90% chance that the tattoo is fake. Li Qiu's face remained expressionless, but his inner worries completely disappeared at this moment. This is the best news he has heard this week. However, why is it 90% and the remaining 10%? Service. Li Qiu's expression solidified, and his smile also faded. Tattoos are not allowed during normal service, but his service is different from that of ordinary people. Li Qiu began to worry that this was the truth. Ding! The elevator door opened and Li Zhenyu saw an acquaintance. It's Zhenyu, are you going out so early? The young woman with a plump figure and a high-neck sweater protruding from her chest on a steep slope of 55 degrees smiled reluctantly. If it weren't for being a neighbor and being familiar with it before. A young woman would never greet him, no ordinary person would not be afraid of hooligans. Well, what's a happy occasion today? Buying so many things. Li Zhenyu nodded politely and took the initiative to help. No need, Zhenyu, no need. The young woman couldn't turn him around and half of the bag in her hand was snatched away. Then he took the lead and walked in the same direction as before, without any hesitation. Seeing his performance as before, the young woman's worries slightly subsided. She doesn't believe in Zhenyu's bad behavior, but everyone says that he joined an unscrupulous gang and even had terrible tattoos on his body. People look even more ferocious than before. Just now when I saw him for the first time, the young woman also noticed the difference between his eyebrows. In the past, he was gentle and weak, and at first glance he was a well-behaved and sensible student, full of the aura of a scholar. Now, even the back looks wider and thicker. Like a real man. Although Li Zhenyu doesn't have much communication with his neighbors, but in this building, there is nothing that can be concealed from the residents of the building. Those gossipy women always have to find something to pass the time. Huina, can I help you carry it into your home? At the door of the room, Li Zhenyu stopped as usual. Ah, thank you so much, Zhenyu. Ina hurriedly took out the key from her pocket as she spoke. Looking at the graceful figure in front of me, who was eager to open the door. Zhenyu cursed his predecessor in his heart, "Fool, you're such a big fool." However, fortunately, the good impression left by this fool on the other party allowed me to have a chance. Small waist, peach buttocks, no matter from which direction you look, it is a perfect S-shaped figure. Her beautiful face looked a bit pale due to taking care of household chores. But it's just a lack of care and grooming. Just a simple tidying up will definitely impress everyone. Zhenyu recalled the wedding photos he had seen at home before. Ina in the photo is not much more impressive than the big star in the camera. Even better in terms of body shape. Alright, come on in quickly. Ina opened the door and took a few steps back to invite him in. At the familiar entrance, Zhenyu placed things against the wall and turned to leave. "Zhenyu, take a break and have a drink." Ina took off her white sports shoes and walked barefoot towards home. "Please make sure to come in while walking, sit down and have a drink before leaving." "Okay, sorry to bother you," Zhenyu said politely, taking off his shoes and walking barefoot inside. The room was cleaned very clean, and although one had to balance business and take care of children, the home still maintained a common cleanliness. In this situation, one can still persist in exercising and maintaining their figure. The potential of women is sometimes unbelievable. "Here you are." Ina apologized as she placed a glass of chilled juice in front of her. "Sorry, we only have juice from a convenience store at home." Ina, who felt sorry for not having fresh fruits for fresh squeezing, had a somewhat shy and embarrassed expression on her face. She used to live a life of luxury and envy. Who could have imagined that a beauty like her would fall to such a low level? There was a time when Ina was almost giving up completely. It was the child who gave her the courage to persevere. Nowadays, although life is a bit difficult, at least everything is moving towards the right track and developing in a positive direction. As long as Zhenyu can grow up safely and healthily, her life will be considered complete. "Zizi," there was a faint sound of water flowing in my ear, which never stopped. Zhenyu was a bit curious and took a sip of the juice, asking, "Ina, is there anything broken at home?" "Ah." Ina was taken aback for a moment, then pointed to the bathroom and said, "It's the faucet. I haven't been able to turn it off since last night. I've been there all along, sizzling out with water, and I'm just about to find someone to fix it." Zhenyu nodded and rolled up his sleeve, saying, "Let me help you take a look. It should be a problem with the pipeline or interface. Is that okay?" "It's too much trouble," Ina said shyly. Looking back, Zhenyu had already entered the bathroom and asked without looking back, "Do you have any tools at home? Give them to me, they should be fixed soon. The valve won't close tightly, just replace the faucet to handle a small matter." "That's great, there's some, I'll go get it right away." Take the simple tool that comes with purchasing daily necessities to the bathroom. Zhenyu has found the valve and cut off the water first. Remove the faucet with a tool and look under the light. The edge of the ball valve inside is missing a tooth due to rust. Indeed, the valve is broken. "Do you have a new one?" "No, I'm sorry, I'll go buy it now." "No need, I have it at home. I took the old faucet from home and replaced it for her." Zhenyu opened the main valve to test for water leakage. The effect looks good, so Zhenyu decided to drive it a few more times. After repeatedly switching on and off, there was still no problem. Zhenyu could only put down the tool and said, "All right. Thank you so much, Zhenyu." Bang! The old faucet that had just been replaced suddenly burst open at the valve, and the water gushed into the air like a fountain, wetting the two people standing in the narrow bathroom. Amidst the screams of surprise, the sound of the key unlocking came from outside. "Ina, did you come back?" My mom, a big hand covered Huina's mouth and pulled her exposed half into the bathroom. Huina, you don't want to be seen by your family and cause misunderstandings, do you? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Clearing Pipelines. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7 Clearing Pipelines. Huina, are you inside? Well, Mom, how did you come back, Zhenyu? Playing with the children downstairs and unwilling to come back, I'm here to fetch water. The heavy nasal response made the noblewoman like Park Soo-chi worried. Huina, are you sick? I have a slight cold. I have already taken my medicine and it's okay. You must take care of yourself, my monkey only has you. Well, Mom, I know. Huina, what are you doing inside? I'm taking a bath so that I can feel a little more comfortable. Yes, then I'll go down first. Zhenyu is still waiting for me. Look, keep an eye on him, I'll be here in a little while. The strange tone left Park Soo-chi puzzled and bewildered. But my grandson was still down there, so I decided not to hesitate and hurriedly closed the door to leave. Crack, sizzle, the door was locked, and a relaxed breath came from the bathroom. Sister Huina. Zhenyu. Don't worry. When he left, Zhenyu was sweating profusely and his clothes, which had been dried by body temperature, were once again moist. What a tough job. Wiping the sweat off his forehead, the five organs temple made a strange protest sound. Excessive physical exertion urgently requires energy supplementation. A kind and beautiful wife. The reward calculation is in progress. Healthy body. Having a healthy physique and a constant level of health. Is a constant level of health always in a healthy state, without getting sick or anything like that? After carefully reading the explanation, the fact was slightly different from what he had thought. It does not mean that a constant level of health will not lead to illness, but rather that there will be no diseases that affect illness. A common cold can still cause injury and bleeding after being bumped. But deadly diseases such as cancer, myocardial infarction, and cerebral infarction will not appear in him. Zhenyu's love for the system grew stronger and stronger. What is more valuable in this world than health? Walking on the road, Zhenyu bought some street snacks. Stir-fried rice cake, fried meatballs, and another order of kelp soup. After eating. It's like not eating. Seeing the sale of kimchi pancakes, Zhenyu ordered 2 to fill his stomach. What should we do next? Looking down at his hands, Zhenyu decided to give himself a good body and start exercising. Ding! As the eldest brother, you have noticed your physical weakness and are determined to start strength training from today. A strong physique is the first step toward success. Congratulations to the host for making the right choice. Trigger hidden rewards. Get twice the result with half the effort. Get twice the result with half the effort. Any training related to physical fitness results in random multiples of the normal effect. Zhenyu, who originally had little motivation, immediately became full of confidence. Today, let's start with 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. Zhenyu has decided to persist in exercising from today on. After all, the body is the capital of revolution. Breathing after completing the entire exercise, Zhenyu lay on the ground sweating all over. His body clearly adapted poorly to such intense exercise for the first time. Fortunately, he persevered. If we continue like this, we will eventually become stronger. I want nobody but you, Anihas. The ending sound with a clip made Zhenyu shiver involuntarily. Speak well. Oba, have you forgotten my voice in just one day? How sad he is. Zhenyu hung up decisively without any hesitation. What a dead clamp, get out of here. 2 seconds later, the phone rang again. Oba. The pitiful voice finally returned to normal. The one who called is Li Zhubin. She left a phone call that day. But I still secretly used Li Zhenyu's phone number and called myself, taking down his number. To prevent him from forgetting after that night. After all, judging his identity from the few words he knows is not easy. No one in South Korea can refuse the charm of such a wealthy person. Are you in the company? Well, Obama, practicing singing is so tiring. My throat is almost broken. Drink plenty of hot water. Oh, Obama, can't you come and see them? Or do you have a new woman and forget about me? Oba, do you really have any other women? Woo-woo. The expected rampage did not occur, and Li Zhubin cried over the phone. This gave him a headache. Women's tears are the sharpest weapon in the world. Because other weapons only harm your body, and they point directly at your heart. Can you come out tonight? Stop crying and crying, come find me tonight and have a drink together. Obama, damn the clip sound, we must teach her to speak well tonight. Otherwise, just keep that mouth closed. After half a month of training, Li Zhenyu's changes are visible to the naked eye. Originally, it could only be considered a normal figure, but now it has become sturdy and tangible. The overall temperament of the person is also different, looking more sunny, healthy, and with a sense of security. Touching the emerging edges of the lower abdomen with one's hand, and receiving rewards through hard work, the sense of achievement it brings is intoxicating. In half a month, Li Zhubin's progress has also been astonishing. The dance teachers in the company are all impressed by her progress in flexibility. And intentionally, she wanted to ban her original dance responsibilities. Li Zhubin, dancing with his double ponytails tied, exudes a sexy vibe as if he was born for the stage. No one knows, thanks to Li Zhenyu's late-night training every night. Starting from today, add 10 kilometers of running every day. Throwing dirty clothes into the washing machine, Li Zhenyu put on a clean hoodie and sports pants, ready to go for a run. Just as I opened the door, I saw Huina next door preparing to leave. Sister Huina. Ah, exclaimed in surprise, as she pulled open the door that was about to close, and people were about to run inside. Papa, a big hand grabbed the door and prevented her from moving. In the next moment, amidst her panicked plea for mercy, Li Zhenyu walked into the familiar room. Is there no one at home again? Upon hearing the quiet echo in the room, Li Zhenyu's smile turned somewhat sinister. Zhenyu. We are good neighbors. Let's go back to the way we used to be, okay? Grasping her retreating figure, she exerted force towards her arms and knelt on the shoe cabinet while spinning. Sister Huina, you don't want to delay for too long. Ladies who have been rushed to the morning market should see it. After running 10 kilometers, Li Zhenyu sat panting on a bench downstairs. He plans to take a break and have breakfast, and today's exercise is still at full capacity. BB the silver Mercedes-Benz honked its horn and parked on the roadside while lowering the car window. Zhenyu, long time no see. Li Zhenyu looked puzzled and said in an uncertain tone, sister-in-law. Half an hour later, at the CAFA. Li Zhenyu looked at the spicy girl in front of him, still unsure if he was the person he knew. Jin Jian, Li Zhenyu's grand cousin's fiancé A.E. If calculated by inches, they are no different from strangers. But who makes this a small area that can travel around the whole country in just one day by car? For 5 generations, those with the same surname are all relatives. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Naughty Sister-in-Law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Naughty Sister-in-Law. So, have you had children? I last saw her 5 years ago. Now, she should have held a wedding with Li Chengyan and become a family, maybe she will have children. So, did marriage change her? In the past, she was very conservative in her attire. We got divorced. Jin Jian picked up her coffee and took a sip with a light smile. What? Lee Zhenyu was a bit puzzled. The two of them were not in a free love relationship. It's a family interest and political alliance. How could it be said that divorce means divorce? Whose family has a problem? You don't know. Li Chengyan is no longer the successor of the Daquan faction, and the situation of strong alliances is no longer present. Naturally, he has divorced. Jin Jiyan patted her chest and sighed, thank goodness, I thought I would be trapped in that house for the rest of my life. As the daughter of the Jin family, I have devoted my youth and business value to the family. In the following life, I will live for myself. The undulating waves seem quite weighty. So, due to family pressure, she disguised her true self under the illusion of being a good girl. One outfit lasts for over a decade, it's really amazing. Now, what are your plans? Upon hearing his question, Jin Jiyan asked in response, and what are your plans? Can people like us really leave our family and survive on our own by running out of our homes and becoming self-sufficient? As a hero who has made contributions to the family, Jin Jiyan will naturally receive compensation from the family. After all, the cooperative families in recent years have also benefited greatly. Always give her this great hero a little benefit. This benefit is enough for Jin Jiyan to live her life in luxury. So, that's why she asked, people like us can really leave the family. Because she herself is still a vampire parasitic on the family business. Li Zhenyu smiled slightly and pointed to himself, asking, I'm not right here. It has been 5 years since my predecessor left home. It's not time to eat, drink, and live well. Can you also call it this way? Looking at the cheap clothes on his body, the tattoo on his neck, and the low explosive watch on his wrist. Zhenyu, you should consider going home now. Li Zhenyu shook his head and said seriously, I'm really good, don't worry. Seeing his persistent attitude, Jin Jiyan thought for a few seconds and said, come with me. On the 3rd floor of the mall, Jin Jiyan took him to choose a slim-fitting high-end custom suit. Looking at the big boy in front of her, who was dignified, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes, full of a tough guy aura, Jin Jiyan suddenly had a feeling of being tempted. It's really. Agu, when did the crying ghost grow up? Sister-in-law, Sister Jiyan, you are only 5 years older than me. 5 years old, isn't 5 years old enough? Put it in the past, it's enough to be you. Isn't it enough? Li Zhenyu nodded and forced a bitter smile, saying, you're right, it's my fault. So. Jin Jiyan extended her index finger, teasingly pressing her fingertips against his chin and vaguely saying, you just need to be obedient and obedient. You are no longer my sister.in.law. I just called her sister.in.law, but I don't know her anymore. Agu, how cruel. Jin Jiyan mischievously blinked her eyes and withdrew her finger, saying, alternatively, you can call me sister.in.law. Li Zhenyu rushed home in a hurry, feeling a surge of anger. After taking a cold shower, my anger still surged in my heart. Glancing at the wall clock, Li Zhenyu turned around and walked to the next door. Keng Keng, who is it? Auntie, I'm Zhenyu from next door. I have something to ask Huina for help with. It's Zhenyu. The lady opened the door and looked at him with a reproachful expression on her face. Agu. Look at you, why don't you learn well and learn from those bad people like this? After being lectured by the noble woman, Li Zhenyu smiled shyly throughout, as if there had been no change from before. Huina, Zhenyu is looking for you, why haven't you come out yet? Huina, who couldn't escape, appeared in front of the entrance with a strange expression on her face. Yes, what's up? Huina, I forgot some steps of the dish you taught me last time. Can you please teach me again? Li Zhenyu said and handed over the thing he was holding in his hand. To express my gratitude, this is the top quality Han bowl I bought specifically. Oh my, Agu. The lady took the beautifully packaged Han Nyo food box and couldn't close her mouth in joy. This one is worth tens of thousands. No, only 30,000 yuan. Ai gu. The noblewoman looked at him with a look that made her even more fond. This child was just impulsive and took the wrong path, but his heart is still good. Huina, as neighbors, we need to help each other. Just teach him again. Although he did something wrong, I don't think he looks like a bad person. Encouraged by the noblewoman, Zhenyu smoothly invited Huina into the room. As soon as she closed the door, she blocked the small mouth she wanted to speak. Crying and struggling, Huina felt sad and angry in her heart. He was much worse than you thought. The advantage of a young woman is that she knows everything you want. It's completely different from a little girl, green and difficult to handle. A glance, a gesture, and a sigh are a brand new experience. From beginning to end, there is no need for language communication. With heart, do you understand? The heart has a sharp sense, which is perfect for describing a young woman. Ding Dong opening the door and seeing her daughter's radiant face, the noblewoman curiously asked, "Why have you been away for so long?" The ingredients are a bit complicated, which took up some time. With a furrowed brow, the noblewoman sniffed forward, and Huina looked nervously at her. What kind of flavor is it, so familiar? The lady carefully recalled. Tonight, let's have kelp soup. Okay, Huina nodded in agreement, although she was very resistant in her heart. My mom, soup. Zhenyu, Mom doesn't want to drink soup now. Soup. Soup. Under the urging of the child, Huina had to pick up a spoon against her scalp. 1 spoonful, 2 spoonfuls. Huina's furrowed brow gradually eased. Ah, Aishi, Huina, what are you really thinking? Hey. Xiaoli tapped her head, and Huina drove out the strange image in her mind. In the future, I will never give him any more opportunities. Anyway, she will never give in again. Never. Huina made up her mind to cheer for herself, saying, Huina, come on, you can do it, you can do it. P.S. Thank you for the 5,000 yuan reward from Lulu, the 3,000 yuan reward from Mirror Heart's White Moonlight, and the reward from Shui de Buyauda. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Sister.in.law delivers dumplings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Sister.in.law delivers dumplings. Huina, the shoelaces are undone. Huina, who was burying her head in cooking across from her, couldn't help but tremble. Silently put down his chopsticks and leaned under the table. Someone is responsible for tying shoelaces, and Zhenyu is in a good mood. So, this meal took an hour, and Zhenyu ate 2 large bowls of soup rice. Hey, I don't know if it's because of a change in body, but Xiao Shiba's food is also delicious. Do as the Romans do when in Rome, it seems quite good. Zhenyu has completely adapted to his current identity and started thinking again, what should he do? Zhenyu, I have washed the dishes and put them in the cabinet. If it's okay, I should go to work now. From the initial resistance to the current obedience, Huina doesn't know what exactly happened. She is used to this way of getting along, confused. Whenever my mother sends her child to kindergarten, she will appear here. Cook, clean, and tie his shoelaces for him. Okay, let's go. Be careful on the way. Zhenyu casually bowed and sat down again. Huina walked forward with a heavy heart, suspecting that her brain must be broken. Just as I was about to leave, I was stopped by him again. The first drawer of the shoe cabinet contains the things I gave you. Opening the shoe cabinet, Huina saw a bulging envelope. Holding it in hand, opening the envelope seal, there was a stack of cash with a face value of 10,000 yuan. Using this money to buy something delicious, my body is too weak. Can the child eat enough? As a mother, the first thing you need to learn is to take care of your own body. Huina looked at him with a complex expression, but ultimately accepted the money and left. With this money, our family's expenses can also be more abundant. Besides, she should buy some supplements to replenish her body. The difference between providing for one person and providing for two people is also significant. Upon careful reflection, he was actually not inferior to himself. I often bring high-end ingredients to my home, and my mom is very polite. I also like to make Zhenyu happy. Every time he holds him in his arms, Zhenyu smiles cute like an angel. Except for that matter, it is required that standard posture the number of times is also incorrect. In short, it's much better than the man I've chosen before. With a self-deprecating smile, Inhuina turned her head to look at the closed door and said, "So, how bad were your eyes in the past?" Surprisingly, even such a man is much better than him. Inhuina, you must have been blind at that time. Blind, hey hoo, hey hoo, hey hoo. After completing the daily training group in the room, Zhenyu draped a towel over his shoulder and prepared to take a shower. Thinking in my mind about the future and Inhuina's arrangements. Letting her quit her job and become her full-time secretary is a good choice. Dingling through the cat's eye, Zhenyu saw a familiar figure. Ah! Why did you come again? Zhenyu opened the door speechlessly and turned to enter the bathroom. Zhenyu, were you just exercising? Didn't you hide a woman at home? That's right, when I heard the doorbell, I thought it was the hostess who had just jumped out of the window. This is the 12th floor, do you think I'm a fool? Yi Simaida. The rogue tone made Jin Jian angry and want to laugh. This guy's face is getting thicker and thicker. Where did that shy and good child go back then, oh? Zhenyu, why don't you wash it inside well? You must wash it clean, the ambiguous tone left Zhenyu feeling helpless as he washed away in the rain. Did she really think that she was a harmless little lamb and wouldn't do anything to her? In the room, Jin Jian looked at the simple and clean room. Her expression was filled with a sense of relief and joy. This was not her first time here, and even pretending couldn't maintain this level every time. He is indeed a good child who loves cleanliness. Today, give him a good reward. Putting the lunchbox in her hand in the palm-sized cabinet area, Jin Jian opened the drawer below and muttered softly, "Where is it? Where exactly is it? Ah, I found it." I took off my jacket and the perfect curve was exposed against the backdrop of the hip-wrap skirt. Jin Jian put an apron on her chest and started making kimchi dumplings. If I remember correctly, his favorite dish is kimchi dumplings. The kimchi made by my aunt at home tastes really amazing. Using it to make dumplings must be super delicious. Turning off the rain, Zhenyu habitually wanted to go outside. Next second, release the hand that grabbed the doorknob. I almost forgot, there are still people outside, so going out like this is not very convenient. However, the clothes that were just taken off were all wet and couldn't be passed on anymore. Ah, just say women are troublesome. Zhenyu angrily wiped his head with a towel and looked around. Taking down another towel, Zhenyu knotted the two towels diagonally and tried to wrap them around his waist. Not bad, tie the other end tightly with a knot. In this way, he obtained a handmade, lace-up tight and breathable triangular underwear. Upon hearing the sound of unlocking, Jin Jian smiled and turned her head, but the words she wanted to say were suppressed by the shock in front of her. Then, before he realized it, he quickly lowered his head and his beautiful eyes patted the dough in a daze. Zhenyu couldn't adapt to Jin Jian's playful teasing for a while. Glancing casually, Zhenyu happened to see the afterglow of her sneak peek. Her gaze collided, and Jin Jian, like a child caught cheating, panicked and turned her head away. The dough in his hand was shaped into various strange shapes by him. Perhaps she has forgotten what she came to do today. Jin Jian, what are you doing? She wiped her wet hair dry with a towel and casually threw it onto the backrest of the sofa. Zhenyu came to the bedside and took out clean clothes from the simple hanger. Then, he turned his back to her and untied the towel. What strong muscles, you can't even tell when you're wearing clothes. Wow, they're so perky. Wouldn't he feel ashamed? Surprisingly, in front of oneself, no, he's carrying his back and peeping on his own. Hey what's going on? A little irritable as she scratched her hair, Jin Jian completely forgot the fact that her hands were covered in flour. So, the shiny brown long hair was instantly glued together by the flour on the hand. Ah! Are you like this when you were at your husband's house? Seeing her face of flour and a disheveled expression, Zhenyu looked disdainful and said, no wonder she's being despised. Ah Zhenyu, do I need to do these things on a regular basis? What do you treat me like, a servant? Jin Jian stomped her feet and pointed at the dough on the table, furious. Be quiet, it's time to file a complaint downstairs in a while. With a disdainful expression, Jin Jian continued her unfinished work. Let's go wash it first. I'll take care of this. What is this, kimchi? You don't like to eat kimchi dumplings the most. My aunt made kimchi, which cannot be bought outside. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Worship like a king. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Worship like a king. Push her into the bathroom, and Zhenyu takes over the work below. The so-called dumplings in South Korea are all dry steamed dumplings. Wrap it in a flat, small bun size, with a thin and strong skin. Zhenyu, ah. Sitting the dumplings in the pot, the bathroom opened a gap and Jin Jian's voice came from inside. What's wrong? Towels, there are no towels inside. Wait a minute. Pass the towel you just used through the crack in the door. Jin Jian's embarrassed voice came again. Hey, this is you just now. Only this one, if not needed, it will naturally air dry. Hey with an angry roar, Jin Jian forcefully closed the door. Amidst the mist, Jin Jian carefully distinguished the two towels in her hand, the one in front and the one at the back. Sigh, whether it's in the front or back, it seems like something's wrong. Suppressing the strange and complex emotions in her heart, Jin Jian repeatedly washed the towels several times. Seriously wiping off the water droplets on my body, I don't know if it's true or if it's due to psychological effects. A strong male odor always appears between the breath. It's really when she came out again, steamed dumplings were already on the table. Jin Jian quietly leaned against the wall and moved to the low table, her legs almost exhausted. Give it a try. Zhenyu sat at the low table, placing the sauce in the middle. Shapping her still slightly damp hair, Jin Jian used all her strength to sit sideways on the small stool. Taking a deep breath, Jin Jian stared silently at the low table in front of her, which was covered in scratches. Don't you have a dining table here? Hey, what kind of life is this? It's really. I'm not used to it, don't come again next time. Zhenyu didn't want to experience such a test every day, as her delicate white legs were within reach and could only be seen from afar. The chopsticks she picked up were put down again, and Jin Jian said with a low expression, now, do you even hate me? That pitiful and delicate appearance is irresistible to any normal person. I just want to hold her in my arms, protect all her fragility, and block out all dangers. Stop pretending, aren't you tired? Zhenyu ate steamed dumplings like nobody else. Just now, Jin Jian, who was full of fragility, changed her face in an instant and said, hey, you're not as cute as you were when you were a child. You're getting more and more annoying. As she nibbled at steamed dumplings, Kim said happily, how about it? Is it delicious? Well, it's not bad, Zhenyu nodded. Zhenyu, please accompany me to go shopping later. Jin Jian said. Why should I go? You should find those sisters. What sisters? I am now alone. Zhenyu, my sister, I am no longer a popular daughter of Jin parents. Shouldn't heroes who have achieved success and retired receive everyone's blessings? Ha! Jin Jian laughed wildly. What? Meritorious hero, blessings. This is the funniest joke she has ever heard this year. In their circle, there are no heroes or blessings. That is a true luxury that is difficult to buy with money. In their view, they are more like exiled waste, receiving wealth but also leaving the center of power. Just like ancient enfeoffment, these are all she can get. Take these and you'll have a peaceful life in the future. And the reward she received could only bring her worry-free wealth. What value does a person without power have in their circle? As long as you are willing, many new friends will surround you like bees. Jin Jian smiled incessantly and said, "Are you referring to those men who only want to benefit from me? If it were you, would you be interested in women like that?" Yes, Zhenyu nodded confidently. It would be great if it could solve the needs without taking responsibility. Ah, Jin Jian sighed with a look on her face, this is a man, being a man is really good. Okay. It's really good, someone like him. If we were to be social animals at the bottom of society, even if the children we raise may not be our own, how much better could we be? Zhenyu, your thoughts are very dangerous, abnormal. Do you have it? It seems like you've been doing some dangerous probing all along. Looking carefully at the woman across from her, her collagen-rich face was smooth and delicate, as if it was truly shining. A slightly rounded face is not as sexy and stylish as a uniform melon seed or goose egg face. But it can give people a comfortable feeling. Fu Gue and Wang Fu, that's her type. Wow, I really don't know how painful it would be for Li Chengyan to lose such a wife. What are you thinking? In the past, the days when I was bullied by Li Chengyan. Jin Jian looked at him with a disdainful expression on her face, inhaling and saying, "Hey, have you ever been bullied by him? Didn't anyone tell you? When I was a child, I was incapable of exercising. Is that right?" Jin Jian pointed at his abdomen in surprise and said, "Now, wow, the changes are too great." Just now she saw everything, with sharp abdominal muscles, wide back, and explosive muscle groups. Who would believe that someone like him would be an incompetent athlete? However, Jin Jian still won't believe his lies. At that time, he was still the youngest son of the Dejun sect. How could Li Chengyan have the courage to bully him? At most, it's just a small victory in sports. Can this also be called bullying? I didn't expect you to be a narrow-minded man, Jin Jian said with an exaggerated smile. What should I do? I like you even more now. Like me. Li Zhenyu put down his chopsticks and said seriously, the woman who likes me should respect me like a king. Can you do it? What, Wang? Jin Jian sighed incredulously, what kind of era? The Li dynasty no longer exists. Wang, you're so naive like a child, there's no such thing as a king now. Li Zhenyu lit the plate with chopsticks and sneered, didn't it? Class, when did it disappear from this country? Jin Jian was speechless, and after a moment, she became angry and said, Wang. Just have your spring and autumn dreams. It's best to pray for a lifetime not to wake up. Without hesitation, Li Zhenyu shrugged and put the last dumpling into his mouth. Wash the dishes and wipe them dry. Jin Jian shook her hand and looked at Li Zhenyu lying in bed reading a newspaper. Are you ready? Putting down the newspaper, Li Zhenyu exclaimed curiously, what are you preparing? Shopping, you promised me. Jin Jian sat down by the bed and glared at him angrily. When did I agree? Let's go by myself. Shaking the newspaper, Li Zhenyu showed no interest in shopping. In a while, In Huina should be back. In the evening, Li Zhubin invited him to have a late-night snack with his relatives. Li Zhenyu is very curious. Who could this relative be? Zhenyu, Jin Jian grabbed his arm and kept acting coquettish. Looking at the end of her unwavering commitment, Li Zhenyu nodded silently and said, you can go, but I have a condition. What? No matter what, I agree, Jin Jian nodded happily and agreed. End of this chapter.